Welcome to the Director's Commentary podcast for Heart, the City Beneath. I'm Grant Howitt, and I'm joined by Christopher Taylor, and we wrote the Heart RPG. In these episodes, we'll be going through the text of the book and discussing how we came to design the game. For more information on Heart and our other titles, go to rrdgames.com. Vermissian Knight, like Vermissian days. Hello. This is the Vermissian Knight. This is the first fucking class we wrote.
It is. And also, I'd like to take a small pause here to say that I was about to do that exact same intro.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we're synced up. That's good to hear. That's positive.
Anyway, yes, Vermissian Knight, train knights.
I think
the fraternal, that's the word I'm thinking of, fraternal class to the Vermissian Sage from Spire.
And the poster child for Heart.
Very much so.
Like, they're the easiest pitch. Like, okay, so you are the protector of a cursed train network, and also your armor is made out of train bits, and it's overclocked. It's an overclocked mech suit. On you go.
Yes. And I think, honestly, that we should start with the art by just renowned luminary Felix Meow.
Top bloke Felix Meow.
Top lad. So
I'd like to reference the ear, but what were you going to mention?
The ear. Please talk to me of the ear, Grant.
Vermissian Knight was a human,
and
then we were like, Felix, can you put some more elf ears on shit so it looks more like a fantasy game?
Basically, a lot of the art in the beginning was just humanoid, and we had
human. Yeah.
Well, yes, human.
He's already humanoid.
And we had to remind Felix that a lot of the main characters are going to be drow and elfir and things like that. So the Vermissian Knight became an elfir. And a cool one, as we'll see much, much later when we get to a certain piece of art in the Bonds chapter.
Oh, best.
Talk about that later.
Okay.
Because we can put an entire episode on that.
Skip ahead and look at it now. It's really good. Then come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the Vermissian Knight art. This gave us a lot of things. First off, it was the first look at armour fashioned directly from trains, which has the door from carriage number 9. It has a hammer that will appear much, much later in the book, in the equipment chapter. This is the wheel lock, flintlock style hammer. It's the pneumatic hammer. And it shows how heavily armoured they are. Like, if you look at the rest of the art, nobody else is really wearing that much armour.
No.
And this is your Dungeons & Dragons equivalent of full plate with a rebreather. And it's smoking. And Felix created, without us mentioning it, a Vermissian logo.
Yeah.
So that is now the
great,
default.
isn't it?
Yeah, that is now the default logo of the Vermissian.
Yeah.
And they've got like a mini cow catcher as a chin plate, and
it's absolutely fantastic.
I think it was actually one of the earliest bits of art we got as well.
I think it was the first bit that came through. Yeah, it was part of the first group that came through.
Yeah, and I mean, Felix, if you are listening to this for some reason, you have no concept of how excited we were when we saw this piece of art. Like,
we called each other up. Like,
oh my god, you have to see this.
That happens every time Felix sends art.
It does,
but like
but
doubly
this was huge. This was the first time that something we'd written had been illustrated by Felix, and it made our ideas feel real. And
it was like the first time
for us.
It's like we were we got the stuff through for Spire from AD, and I was on holiday in the Lake District, and I called you
on a phone.
Chris,
I remember.
Chris, look at the midwife. Log into the email.
Like, I think Grant and I have had 4 phone conversations in the last year, like 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 3 of them have been bad.
Yeah. It's mainly okay. So most of them are like, I'm in the pub. Where are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the podcast.
Yeah, back to the podcast. So,
the Vermissian Knights.
The Vermissian Knight is a branch of the Vermissian, as in the organisation.
The Vermissian Collective.
The Vermissian Collective, not the network itself. And while the Sage is the learned knowledge end of the spectrum, the Knight is the Pathfinder and Protector. In minor abilities, they get things like the Arcane Rebreather. And again, one of the most early powers we did in the game. And this is kind of iconic as the fact that they're going to uncharted territory. The original idea of the Vermissian Knights was that they would pathfind through the heart, find something of interest, and secure the area, and then call in the sages who would then come in and learn about the thing. That was how they were set up. And this kind of pathfinding thing was very much evident in their original core ability.
Yeah.
So their original core ability basically halved the length of a delve.
The distance between delves,
yeah. Yeah, like the resistance of a delve. And what this made is every single party had to have a Vermissian Knight or you were fucked.
Yeah. Or, like if you did have a Vermissian Knight, it made it too easy. And it was too broadly applicable to not have a knight. It was too good. Right, like and it wasn't active either. You didn't make that choice. It was a passive ability.
It was essentially like saying in a standard. Sorry, standard. That's the wrong word. In a different RPG, half the hit points of every enemy.
Yeah.
Like you kind of like. Why would you not take that one of those at least?
Yeah. They were also much more knighty.
They were actually, weren't they?
Because we were casting around for what they would do. They were very like sworn brotherhood of protectors, and we realised that was kind of one note. And you can still do sworn brotherhood of protectors if you'd like, but we ended up pushing them more into a trailblazer. Knights will inscribe the names of landmarks that they have discovered or found stable routes to on their armour. It is as much a research project and an advertisement of their prowess as it is a means of protection. Each knight's suit is utterly unique, using technology taken from a dozen different places, different gauges of steels, different weights and levels of protection and flexibility, and controls that are often inscrutable to anyone but the creator themselves, which explains why you can't just put on a Vermissian Knight's armour. Thank you very much.
Yes. But also, if you look at, for instance, the Bioshock video games, you've got the big daddies, and you've got the more lithe feminine variant that they put in later.
What were they called? Large mothers.
I guess you can't remember. But those could both be Vermissian Knight suits.
Yeah, you can have full enclosed helms if you'd like.
Yeah, you can do it however you want, and you can flavour it however you want. Like, you could even put it so, like, their suit is essentially skin tight, but full of pneumatics. So they're more active and they dodge rather than
just have a diving bell.
Just be in a sphere, like a
have
Zorb.
the other characters push a diving bell down any available flight of stairs.
Down a hill, yeah.
Yeah.
But their armor is the Vermissian plate, and it's iconic of the class.
I think like if the Incarnadine is Chris's class, the Knights are mine. I've taken care of them, as it were, throughout production. Yeah, I've absolutely loved them. And Vermissian plate is it's an overclock mech suit. And a little peek behind the curtain here. Christopher Taylor has to spend every game. I'm going to say about 20% of our work process stopping me from putting overclock mech suits in games.
Yes, I have to edit it out of just some of the weirdest places, honestly.
Yeah. So I was happy to put it in as a core ability because we had to replace the one which just made the game easier.
Yes. So this was like me going, Grant, this should be an overclock mech suit. Go ham. Get it out of your system, and we'll have 2 months of not me searching for overclock mech suits in every product.
Yeah. It comes from as well. There was a playtest we did, which you can listen to. It was in the League Presents, where Mina played a Vermissian Knight. And she put like she started burning stuff in her suit's furnace to power her abilities. Yeah. So that's a cool idea. I'm having that.
and it became law.
And so we made an official rule. And so like you consume a resource with technology or a cult. I think if it's technology, you work it into the armor. If it's a cult, you burn it in the furnace or like crush it over your armor. And then you get kind of a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Which is pretty neat, you know?
You can do some bonkers things with it, especially when you upgrade the power. Like, it has a lot of The Vermissian Knight has a lot of later powers that modify the core ability.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're obvious tanks, right? Like their aesthetic is tank, and their powers really give them that ability to tank.
Yeah,
especially if you take something like Collateral as a party. Like if your party have Collateral, you can shift it to the Vermissian Knight. That's crazy.
Can we talk about the best power in the game? It is on page 63, bottom left, Steel Bones.
Yes.
So, listen, dear reader. There comes a point in all of our games where like we have to start balancing things. And Steel Bones grants you the endure skill. Whatever, don't fucking care.
I'd like to point out here, when we have to start balancing things.
Hey, we both do it. It's your job to steer.
Yes. when I go through and go, God, we've got an infinite damage loop here.
Yeah. There's also a reason why we don't work in numbers a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Steel Bones lets you fall distances of up to 3 stories without taking damage. Which is an excuse to jump out of every building you find.
Also, I'm just going to throw this out here for you power gamers. There's a beat that's kicked somebody off of a building who really deserves it. Best scene you're ever going to have in a game, go down with them.
Kick them and carry on running.
Yep, land on them.
The other challenge with the Vermissian Knight, in addition to sort of like making... So it's quite difficult to do a tank class in a game which has really abstract combat.
In a more narrative slanted game.
Yeah, like it's quite like in your D&D, which is what we've all been trained on. You know, you've got your attacks and opportunities, and in MMOs you've got aggro, which you can pull. And narrative focused games really didn't have that unless you put in a specific mechanic for it, and we didn't want to weigh it down with that.
Yeah,
it didn't really feel important enough.
Aggro is very much the purview of the DM in this. Like, if somebody's jumping around and yelling, as a DM, you should probably attack them. Like, that's just how it works, but that's not codified.
The other challenge we had was not putting in or every train pun we came up with. And
where is Mind the Gap?
Oh, we got rid of it.
We did have a power called Mind the Gap.
Yeah, you used to have the capacity. I think it gave you like +1 mind protection, and you could spread that out to people nearby with rights. And it was called, I think it was called like Gapped Mind or something. Like we worked the joke in slightly more organically than that, but it was really passive. It wasn't super interesting. It was a pun, you know.
Yeah. But
we did end up with the Protector's Gauntlet, a heavy metal gauntlet bearing the emblem of your house, the Lords of Galvanic, the Free Wheels, the Cross Countryman. I think the Cross Countryman. I'm like, all right, I'll take that. That's pretty funny.
Yep.
I'll sneak that in there. If you name your here's a little bonus. If you name your character after a London Underground station, you get a free D8 resource.
Yep, that's a rule. Again, we've mentioned this before, but if you play that specific part of the podcast to your GM, they have to abide by it.
They have to. They have to.
Laws are laws.
Let's talk about mages.
Let's talk about mages, and let's talk about Etheric Field and my goddamn playtest.
That's Etheric Field, I believe, is the first major we wrote for Hut.
It is. It is absolutely.
And it's pretty much identical. It hasn't changed a great deal.
Oh, it's changed a little bit.
Yeah, we took out the infinite damage loop.
Yes, because I didn't think there was one. And then one of my players, who's a inveterate Pathfinder player, just went, "Oh, okay, this is the infinite damage loop," and detonated an angel.
Yeah, an angel punched her, and then its head exploded.
No, like the angel wasn't killed by her, but
okay.
There was a very beautiful scene of noble sacrifice. It was genuinely quite touching. There was a funeral. Yeah, it was really sad.
That's what we're after in Heart, I think.
Right, but a majority of damage was done by a sort of feedback loop with Echo and damage doing when they just sort of jumped on them and vibrated, basically, and killed them.
Like a sort of bee.
Yes, like a horrid bee. But Etheric Field is the "don't hit me or I'll hurt you" but you have to hit me power. It's a big tank power. And you'll notice a lot of the Vermissian Sage powers are about killing things from the heart.
Do you mean the tank? Sorry, do you mean the knight?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Okay, go
on. About killing things from the heart. There's Anathema, which is your melee attacks against heart blood gains brutal.
And which is useful.
Which is,
you can argue that for a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, you can really blag that at your GM.
Yeah.
And that segues into Dragon Killer.
Oh yeah. This is another Monster Hunter.
Yep, another Monster Hunter reference, because I played a lot of Monster Hunter right at the beginning, I think it was, of Heart Creation. Which gives you the Great Blade, which is one of their... It's set a trend, actually, for orders or groups giving you weapons. You'll see it pop up in the Extinction Bow and things like that. But if you're trying to kill a human with the Dragon Killer Great Blade, it's a D6 weapon.
Terrible plan. Just push them over.
Yeah. But if you're trying to hit something that's bigger than you, it's a D10 weapon. That's cool as hell for me. And that lets you take things like hunted, endurance training, and applied research. Endurance training comes from Grant's fascination of endurance hunting.
Yeah.
For some reason, this fact,
really cool.
This fact pops up a lot when Grant's planning things, and I really like it. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy it.
Like humans, we are the dominant species on Earth, I would argue, or we're at least having the biggest impact.
Absolutely.
How about that? And our method of hunting for fucking millennia was bothering
for a long time.
Like, no, we want this more than you. And the deer would be like, oh, fuck off, I'll run off. And then it would sit down for a bit, oh, I'm absolutely shagged. And then we'd just sort of emerge over the hill. Hello, we're going to stab you to death. Oh, fuck. And it would carry on going. And like other creatures have developed like poison bites.
Yep.
Or advanced pack hunting tactics, or like powerful claws, and we just fucking Jehovah's Witness our way into the Alpha Prison.
Wow. Do you want to re-record that bit?
No, I'm fine. Jehovah's Witnesses like commonly bother people at their front doorstep.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, I'm not worried about the Jehovah's Witnesses coming for us.
That's true. They're like the Amish.
Yeah, no, that's different. I think they have the internet.
But the great thing about endurance training is that it takes away the tiring tag from the weapon, and just makes you able to kill humans better as well. Like you've developed being an asshole. They're a solid
fighter class.
Yeah, they're a solid one. And you've got hunted, where you can name the creature that's coming after you, and then once per session replace the opposition with it. So
it eats them.
It kills the opposition. And now you've got this problem. But it's a way of accelerating your advancement if you want it to. So it lets you gain a minor advance to remove the ability. So you can swap that ability for another one.
Yeah, or just take it again.
Which is hilarious.
It's brother! We have Overclock, which taps into the Vermissian plate. So you can mess with, like, you can do hella powerful attacks. And hella dangerous, or like I suppose reliable or effective things at the cost of your own stress, the fortune, as your arm makes a load of noise.
Yeah, and don't forget, because you're consuming resource, that's your group's ability to heal.
Yeah.
And Overclock is part of something that we worked out very early on, which was chains of abilities. So it goes, I think there's a minor that tags into this, but it goes core ability, there's a minor, overclock, and then there's a zenith that follows on from this. They're not like a skill tree, so you have to take one then the other. No. But it was a way for us to follow a path, a potential character arc through them. And overclock is one of those.
Yeah.
And we've got the other abilities like Get Behind Me, which is your Common or Garden tank power. It's also like it tanks in the same way that somebody putting up shields tanks.
It's a pretty effective tank power. It's quite hard to kill people.
Yeah. Like
if you're looking after them at that point.
You immediately heal or negate the damage rather than necessarily getting in the way. Like, it doesn't hit you, you just negate it. But it's a better way of handling it than, as we've already mentioned, dealing with an aggro mechanic. Yeah. Or things like that.
And like these are the more sort of I suppose standard abilities, like Dragon Killer, Overclock, and especially Etheric Field are more veering towards the weird experimental side of stuff. And these are more sort of like, oh no, I'm a Knight Protector, I'm renowned for this shit, get behind me, we'll make this all work.
Yes.
Which let you lead on delves and stuff, and like push you into the role of a sort of party, like a point man.
You'll find that the person in your regular group who always ends up being the party leader, not necessarily through their class, but just because they make all the decisions, they're going to gravitate towards the Vermissian Knight.
There's a lot of stuff they can do.
There's a lot of stuff they can do to lead the party and to mold the direction you go in. Things like Trailblazer really help on Delve, and that's where the old class ability comes in. The one that we removed became Trailblazer. We edited it and made it more interesting, more fun.
And we switched over the Delve rules as well.
Yes, when we switched over the Delve rules.
When are we going to talk about? I guess when we
get to Delves, yeah.
Can we talk about the last train?
So, I'm going to intro this because I know how excited you are. So I'm going to lead this in slow. Yes, the Zenith abilities of the Vermissian Knight are very interesting because one of these abilities is how we sell the game. And it's how a lot of GMs who go, oh man, I really want to run Heart. They go, well, there's this power in the game, and they sell it to their players by the same method.
Slide that over the table.
Yeah.
Like a number written on a piece of paper.
Yeah. It's hugely iconic. And indeed, one of the first, again, because we talked about the Vermissian Knight being one of the first classes we made, the first Zenith we made. And it's so informed the rest of them.
It's a shame they're so late in the alphabet, really. Otherwise, it would make more sense as a podcast.
Very true. But it's the idea that you don't survive your Zenith. Came from the Vermissian Knight wholesale.
Because they used to have two other Zeniths, which they survived.
They did, and we took them out because they were bad.
They could teleport as electricity, or they could punch as hard as a train do.
So, Grant, could you please tell me about the Zenith of the Vermissian Sage?
Knight.
Every time.
Yeah. You consume your power in a forbidden rite, etching ancient timetables onto the walls in the blood of angels, and lighting signal fires in colours not visible to the naked eye. You summon the last train to your position. The last train is a thing from Spire. It is the only running train in Spire.
On a network that doesn't support it.
They built a shrine on the front of it so they could maybe, steer's the wrong word, pray it in certain directions.
Yep.
I fucking love the last train. It's great. I think considering how rare it is, it's been in more of my games than it hasn't.
And was it Nathan Blades did the adventure of it in Shadow Operations?
Yeah. So if you want to go and steal the engine, we've written that for you as well. I really love the idea of the last train. This is the one. But yeah, this lets you. The last train arrives at your current position by the most direct and destructive route, destroying anything in its path, and you die. And it's a smart bomb.
It's a tactical nuclear warhead in the form of a train.
Yeah,
that's it. It kills anyone and everything. You're fucked.
You're run over by a train. No one survives getting run over by a train.
No, it doesn't happen.
It's a train. It's partially inspired by what was it? I think Quantum of Solace. No, the other one. The James Bond film where Javier Bardem is the baddie. And he manages to rig a trap where an underground, a London Underground train crashes through a wall and hits James Bond, or tries to hit James Bond. And that power, that idea is so much fun. I put it in Paranoia as a piece of R&D tech. That you have a special glove that you point at someone, and then the train smashes them.
Yep.
And we put it in here as the Zenith, because the idea of a train arriving to kill someone is fucking great.
And it's the fact that it can happen literally anywhere. It does not matter.
Oh, you did it in the woods.
Yeah.
That's fine, yeah. Train will find a way. Train don't care.
Train got no master. And it just destroys you and everything around you, and you're done.
I will also note as well, this is much more fiction than we put into most Zeniths.
Mm-hmm.
It says like the blood of angels, which is before we invented capital A Angels of the Heart.
Yes, this was when it was more the concept of Christian angels, like Michael and the like.
So we went for that. But that is the Lust Train is like that's the deal, right? It kills you and it arrives, and what an end to a campaign. We also have 2 other ones which are fine, I guess.
Don't short sell them; they're kind of
fun. No, they're good. End of the Line is cool because it lets you create a unique landmark. You find it and then you die in some tragic fashion. But it lets you
or you can stay alive and vow to protect it forever, or ascend into a pure state of electricity and echoing rails.
It lets you discover El Dorado.
Yes,
broadly, and so it's kind of the explorer element of them. And then there's kind of, I suppose, the Adeptus Mechanicus from 40k version, where you just become you just run forever.
Yes, you can't stop running, can you?
This ability, it contained our most egregious typo. When it was called Do Ex Machina rather than Deus Ex Machina. But yeah, you are riddled with heart's blood radiation and forbidden knowledge, and you replace so much of your body with metal that you become a once per campaign ability.
For someone else.
You inflict 25 stress on an adversary and then just fuck off.
What it's essentially saying is, the last train just killed someone?
Well, now it's you.
Now you're the last train.
Yeah. But it only works when they suffer major or critical fallout. But I like the idea that you retire and then you're just watching everyone.
Yes, but everyone in the heart, you can't stop moving.
No,
which I quite like. So you're constantly running about and solving a problem here, and I'm off to save the day elsewhere.
Also, you implant a heart seed into your engine.
Yes, well that's a problem in and of itself, really.
Yeah, a terrible idea.
Can't recommend it.
I fucking love the Vermissian Knight, man.
It's real solid. It's interesting because I love it, but I don't think I will ever play one.
Oh, I'd play 3.
And that's the thing. It's interesting that there are parts of this game that I wouldn't play. And
I wouldn't touch the Incarnate Doom with a fucking barge pole.
Yeah, and there's parts of the game that you won't play, and it's so very much this combining of our bizarre minds. To create something that's better than both of them. Yeah. Now, I know that we can't escape this section without you talking about the pneumatic hammer.
But just the reason is that everyone picks pneumatic hammer because it's the best. It's the best. It does the most damage, right? No, it's not at all. It does the most damage, and that's really cool. The steel door shield means that you're more survivable. Take that. That's good.
So good. Take the steel door shield.
Yeah, it's really good. All the scrap sword and mage light rig. Kind of techy, which is nice, but also gives you delve d6, which lets you sort of guide people through. Really cool, especially at starting.
I'm sorry, that's not the important thing about the Mage Light rig. The important thing about Mage Light rig is it gives you fucking headlights.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
What's the important thing right there?
It's like I'd like to imagine that they're on sort of like the lights on a dune buggy.
Yeah, on a Humvee, they're up the top.
Yeah, right at the top, and you're sort of stomping around. But yeah, the pneumatic hammer is kill d8 brutal. And you're like, wow, so I get to roll 2d8s and pick the highest? That's so much damage. I'll have that, thanks very much. It's also loud, which means that if you roll an 8 on either of those dice, you take d6 damage to fortune if something hears. And it's also tiring. So if you miss, your dice size goes down, which makes you more likely to attract attention.
Yep.
It's a problem we gave you.
It's a literal
I'm so happy with it.
It's... What it's designed for is it's designed for people who go, oh man, does a lot of damage, best ability, and they take it and then they get story thrown at them.
Yeah,
and
it's too much
so
story.
Much fun.
Yeah, it's great. So that's the thing. So it's kind of a trap, but also one of the things about Fallout is we wanted to reward you for taking risks. So okay, cool. You're going to get attacked by a bunch of things, but you do have a pneumatic hammer to kill them with.
Yeah, it's going to go bad for them.
Swings and roundabouts. Right, shall we move on?
Let's move on.
You've been listening to the Director's Commentary podcast for Heart, the City Beneath. I was Grant Howitt, and I was joined by Christopher Taylor, and we wrote the Heart RPG. For more information on Heart and our other titles, go to rrdgames.com.